We really wanted to tell the story of Moses in the Exodus, and we tossed around a bunch of different ideas of how we were going to do that.
Throughout the development process, we looked at how Moses fits into the Bible and about how it was a continuation of the story of Joseph.
And we ended up landing on a Western because it fit perfectly as a sequel to Little Joe.
Hey, Bob, you remember the Ballad of Little Joe? Yeah?
In Joseph's case, following God's directions took him from the pit to the palace. In Moses' case, it took him from the palace to the pit. And then, of course, he left the wilderness and went back to Dodgeball City and then went back to the wilderness again.
It's such an important story about God's providence and God's plan and, you know, in history and how he's going to lead the people of Israel out of bondage and into the promised land.
The important message in this show is that God has a plan.
It's about sticking to God's plan. That's when he's going to use us to do great things for him.
It was only when Mo relied on God's strength and followed his direction that he was able to accomplish this incredible task.
So, what's next?
And in the story of Mo, God had set that plan up years before Mo was even born. And then when Mo would deviate from that plan, or when Moses would deviate from the plan, things just got worse.
Mo, in our story, always wanted to be strong. You know, he grew up as the runt in the litter, and you know, developed this skill of dodgeball throwing and you know, these really great skills on his own. He got mad when one of his own people was being mistreated, and you know, threw a dodgeball at his workmate. That got him into trouble.
You gotta hide me.
Oh, what? You going to whack us too?
Well, it started back in cowboy camp for Larry. So he went to cowboy camp and he was really excited about doing a Western, and you know, Bob had promised that the next show could be a Western, and so he talked Bob into doing a biblical Western, French biblical Western with Little Joe.
Well, a lot of the world was set up already in Little Joe. You know, we had established that Dodgeball City was our equivalent of Egypt, and the Pharaoh, you know, in Western terms, would have been the mayor. We had a problem with the Red Sea because we set our story between the Bighorn Plateau and the feet of the Rockies, and there's just no sea there to cross. So we needed to come up with something different. The big obstacle out there, geographically, is Death Valley. So Mike came up with this really clever way of getting them across Death Valley.
Well, the whole idea with the way we tell stories with VeggieTales is just, you know, imagine this ensemble group of vegetables putting on a play to tell a Bible story. So if you're going to put on a children's play of a Bible story, what would it look like? The Bible is filled with, you know, a lot of violence, you know, and we want to be able to really respect the intent of the original stories and just tell the stories in a way that, you know, small kids can watch and you know, learn from. We have to handle those hard things with respect. You know, we can't, you know, just gloss over them and make them funny, yeah, because we have to be true to the original story.
It was really important to me that, especially once we get to the angel of death, in our case the river flooding and carrying the baby baskets out, it was important that it have weight, because even though it's a VeggieTales, it's like if we're going to tell this story, we need to stay true to the heaviness of it and to the tragedy of it. We don't want to just whitewash that, because this story is too important to just make light of all that.
It gives kids a way to really identify with the story of Moses in the Bible through this story. They can see, you know, really the parallels in the biblical story and be able to really identify with that.
But just like Mo, God can give you the strength to do what he asks. If you let God be your strength and follow his directions, you'll be amazed at what he can do through you.